Hi everyone, and welcome to today's pick a card reading. Today we're going to look at your soul power and how to step more fully into it. I'm really excited for today's reading. So we have three piles or three groups. First is group 1 with the smoky quartz. Then we have group 2 with the agate heart. And then we have group 3 with the Swarovski lotus. So you can take a second to pause the video here and take a deep breath, connect with your intuition and pick the one that you're most drawn to. And it's totally okay if you're drawn to more than one group. It just means that there are more dimensions of your power that you're being called to step into at this point in time. And the breakdown of the reading is really going to look like looking at these cards first, which will look at your soul essence as sort of an energy check. Then we're going to pull some tarot to get more understanding of what your power looks like. Then we're going to look at cards to see what the blocks are in stepping into your power. Then we're going to pull a card to see how to overcome that block. And finally, we'll just get closing guidance and any advice from spirit. So with that, I will see you in your reading. The timestamps will be in the description below. Hi group 1 and welcome to your reading. This is your reading if you selected the smoky quartz cluster. So yeah, let's get into it. Sorry, let me get comfortable. Okay. So for my group 1's play spirit, tap me into the collective of my group number 1s. What is their power and what is their soul essence? So we're first going to look at these cards. If you want a full breakup of the reading, it is there in the intro. But first we're going to really just look at what your soul essence is like. So it's kind of like an energy check. If this resonates with you, then this reading is for you. But if not, then maybe I'd invite you to pick another group, or maybe there isn't a reading for you in today's pick a card. So with that, we have new beginnings and voyage. Ooh, wow. Okay. Whew. Wow. So for you, y'all are my discoverers, my seekers, my my pathfinders. Y'all are really here to create change, create new beginnings, not sort of stick to the status quo. And there is this sense of discovery with y'all, right? Like there is this sense of journeying, whether that's journeying within, whether it's journeying to different parts of the world to learn about their cultures or their traditions, their food even, there is this sense of really traveling, but traveling the inner realms to create something new. So when you recognize a pattern that isn't fulfilling you, that isn't serving you, you really are okay with doing the inner work to change that and create something new for yourself and lead a new life. So y'all might be the kind of people that, are perpetually changing your identity, changing how you show up in the world, and you're not afraid to do that. You are not attached to old ways of being or familiar ways of being, but rather this quest and hunger for expansion that fuels you. So you really might like learning new things, studying new things, or just exploration in some sense. And there's also the sense of there's a deep wisdom that comes with that, and you have a lot of wisdom, but you have a very approachable way of sharing it. You have a way of you have a very welcoming presence and aura, and people want to come to you and learn from you or hear your insight, your feedback, your thoughts, and it's really valuable. And the thing is, all of this comes so naturally to you that you don't necessarily always see the amount of wisdom that you carry. You don't always see the magnanimity of your soul, but other people can sense it and they can feel it, and they can feel, and you're a very kind person as well. So with all this wisdom and with all the knowledge that you have, like I said, you don't always recognize that, and there's this kindness in who you are, in how you share it, and that's something really, really beautiful about that. And I think it's also because you've gone through so much as a, maybe as a child or in your earlier years, that you have this empathy and this softness to you that really allows you to show up for people in a way that you would have liked others to show up for you when you were younger. And that creates such an open and welcoming environment for others to really bask in your aura, in your wisdom, in your in your time, in your energy, because it's a gift to be in your time and space and energy. So that's really, really beautiful. I'm really enjoying this energy. It feels so soft and beautiful. So yeah, nature, like different types of nature might be calling to you, because I'm noticing the ocean over here, I'm noticing the full moon, I'm noticing like this starry sky, but also like the sunset and the mountains and the stream and the forest. It's like, yay, all of nature. So maybe spending time in nature for you is really healing, or really it really helps you connect with yourself. So maybe when you go through one of those periods of disconnection, or you're noticing that a pattern is no longer serving you, or a belief is no longer serving you, spending time in nature might be a way for that rejuvenation, for that insight, for that inspiration even to come through. So if that sounded like you, then this is your reading. If not, then again, like I said, I'd invite you to pick another group, or maybe there isn't a reading for you here today. I'm going to look at what your power is. Whew. I got a little anxious when I picked this card, so maybe for some of you, there is a little bit of hesitancy in recognizing your power, but maybe not. We'll see what that's about. Can we get one more shuffle? So for my group ones, please, Spirit, what is their power? What is their power? Yep. Alchemy, baby. Okay. How many do we want? I'm thinking 2 more. Can we get 2 more? Thank you. Okay. Whoa. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, you guys have been through a lot. Like a lot. Oh, wow. Okay, so before I get into what your power is, this is a separate message that wanted to come through, so I'm going to give it to you. You're closing out. Am I supposed to cover this? Because YouTube is YouTube. What do I cover it with? Okay, I have a lip balm here. Sorry about that. What's coming through over here is like you've gone through a really significant journey. It feels like a really long journey with the world here in conjunction with justice. So a lot of karmic lessons, a lot of soul growth and healing that's happened, and you are sort of like tying all of that together, and you have learned a lot. Like you're really being asked to recognize and maybe even take stock of how far you've come, because you've done a lot of work, and you need to be proud of yourself, and you need to pat yourself on the back, because not recognizing yourself is honestly such a disservice, because you're meant to go out there and share your knowledge or share something. I don't know what it is, but there's something about sharing something. And it could be an offering, it could be some knowledge, it could be like, I don't know, a workshop, it could be your business, project that you had an idea for, that you wanted to talk to your bosses about, whatever it is, right? You're meant to go out there and like make some sort of impact, change the way things are done with the new beginning here. And in order for you to be able to do that, you need to recognize how you've changed your own life. So please take stock of how far you've come and allow yourself to be proud of yourself. There's a difference between like an egoic pride and just being proud of yourself and patting yourself on the back, and you're really being asked to pat yourself on the back because you're doing a really good job and you need to be proud. And sometimes okay, I'll get into that later, but yeah, just you're closing out a really big karmic cycle. It feels like years and years and years that you've been going through this, but it's finally ending. And yeah, it doesn't feel like it's ended, but it feels like you have just like a couple of days or weeks left, a maximum a couple of months, but it's done, you know. So just be proud of yourself and just breathe. Just breathe. I'm hearing breathe, relax, rest. You've done enough. Okay, it's like trust the flow. The flow, like, you've got the ball moving. It's kind of like inertia, and it's moving towards, not inertia in a like stagnant sense, but in a way of like you can just relax and go with the flow because you've got the ball rolling and it's moving towards a new beginning. So yeah, I don't know who that message was for, but that's what this extra message was. So I'm just going to keep it here. And like, just for your information, if you're not familiar with tarot, Six of Wands is a card of victory. It's like winning the war. You've been through war, you've been through battle for so much of your life, and now it's time for you to just enjoy your victory, enjoy the lightness, enjoy the goodness in life. So now coming to your power, let me take a sip. We have the Five of Cups as back of deck energy, what am I saying? As the first card, and the first thing that came to mind was alchemy. And the reason I say that is because, you know, the Five of Cups, he's kind of caught up in the three cups that have fallen over, right? Like things that haven't worked out, or like the hardships that you've been through, the betrayals that you've gone through, the sadness, the heaviness, all of that. Right, but if he turns around, he will see that there are still two cups standing, and like the two cups could also be like the Two of Cups, right? Like in relationships and love and stuff like that. But more than that, things that your soul craves, your soul, like that are a perfect match for your soul. That's what it is. So not necessarily romantic, but instead of like harping on what's fallen, he turns around and he manages to go after the things that are like that resonant with his soul, so like that perfect match. So what I'm seeing with the Five of Cups in reverse is you have this capacity for alchemy where you still grieve, you still feel the pain of the things that haven't worked out, but then you're able to pick yourself up and move towards what is meant for you. You don't get caught in the darkness. You don't get caught and weighed down by the heaviness of the situation, but you're like, hey, what is this trying to teach me, right? Like what I was saying earlier with this new beginning and voyage, this quest, this hunger for inner wisdom and expansion. You use life and the hardships of life as a teacher, and that's not to say that life has been easy, you know, that it's easy to do, because with the Nine of Wands as back of deck energy, I see that you've been through so much, but with that you are learning so much and you are expanding so much, and your power really is in your capacity to handle that and alchemize that. Yeah, exactly. And that really fuels the way you show up in your work and in how you show up in the world and how you offer your services, because there's something about like meaningful work that's really important for you. Like you can't just work for money, or you can't just work for accolades or whatever external thing that society like throws on you, or values, but it's like, how am I adding value to this world, or how can I serve the world? How can I show up in a way that feels honorable to me, and that feels like I am giving something back to someone, some organization, to earth, whatever it is, right? Like whoever or whatever has value to you, and it'll look different for each person. But in that, the way you show up is with such integrity, and like I feel such grounded energy, like very like pentacly energy, so very earth energy. So you're also steeped in integrity. You are you have certain values, and both boundaries and morals came at the same time, so it got jumbled in my brain. But you have really strong boundaries and values as well that you're not willing to compromise on, and that really allows you to show up. But sometimes it might have been harder for you because since you have such strong values, boundaries, and morals, like sometimes you're just like, shit, I wish I didn't have that. You know, it would be easier to navigate the world without having such strong such strong views. But that's really helping you show up in a way and create a world, because there's something about creation here as well, with like new beginning as well. But create a world that feels good for you, and like it feels like this person is starting from scratch. So yeah, there's this real energy of your power lies in your capacity to firstly see through the darkness to what the light is trying to show you, and secondly show up in a way that serves the light in the way you work or offer your services, and it's steeped in integrity. So what you're here is really rooted and grounded in the light, but the only way you could have done that is through the darkness. I hope that made sense. Yes, this is you. You are the King of Pentacles. Yeah, you are extreme. Oh my God, I love this energy. You are such a lovely, oh my God, such a lovely soul. And like I said, really grounded, really abundant. And you know, sometimes like people, oh, okay, we're already going into the blocks. So you are meant for a lot of abundance, and that is actually where your power lies. So with whatever you're here creating and thinking and visioning, because I think I started this by saying like you're a visionary, right? So whatever you're envisioning for, firstly, it's very possible to attain. Okay, the only limit is your mind. Secondly, there's a lot of abundance that comes with that, and there's a lot of success and recognition that comes with that, and that is actually going to be your power. So it's not a power that is currently manifested in your life, but it's a power that you're stepping into. But one of the blocks that's coming through with this card is that you have a fear of that, because there is this either a subconscious belief or a shadow belief of what that means, because you've seen people in success, you've seen people with money, and there's this cockiness and arrogance and superiority that comes with people that you're familiar with, whoever, right? Like businessmen or like celebrities or whatever, and you see that they don't act in accordance, like money changes them. But I'm here to tell you that money doesn't change who a person is. Money reveals who you are at your essence. And like I said, you have a beautiful soul, and you are here to do so much, and money is just really an amplifier of energy. So it's just going to amplify the amount of work and the amount of good that you're going to put out there in the work. So I'm really inviting you here with kind of like putting my foot down a little bit with y'all, but change this belief, because this is really stopping you from stepping into your power and stepping into your leadership. Because with the King of Pentacles, you're also here to hold a leadership position, a position of authority, and a position of a lot of success and abundance. And yeah, whatever beliefs you have about like I said, money and success and fame for some of you, please change it, because it's not changing who you are, because you are grounded in integrity, and you are and you are an extremely also a really humble and honest person, and none of that is going to change who you are. And there's something also like kind of like, regardless of your gender, but like family man coming here, I don't know why, but like with the voyage here as well, I was talking about your kindness, right? Your kindness is a part of who you are. It is one of your powers, and your success isn't going to take away from that. So please, 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 I'm genuinely asking you to shift that, because we need people like you. We need visionaries, we need seekers, we need alchemists to show up in the way to shift the way we're functioning, because it's not working. That's why there's so much darkness that even you've gone through. You've seen the repercussions of the current paradigm, and you're here to shift paradigms, literally with New Beginnings Voyage. You are ushering in people into a new way of being in whatever area of life this is. And then the moon. Ooh. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Give me a second, because like the energies just came like flooding in, but no words came in. Wow. Okay. So you had New Beginnings and Voyage, and I was talking about like this inner discovery and journey and da 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 da, right? With the moon, your power is just going to keep growing, and you cannot even imagine what that's going to look like. Like, oh my god, I'm getting so many messages for for each of you it'll look differently, but for some of you it could be like creating an empire, a legacy, and like that's not even something that you want to create. It's just something that's like a byproduct of the work that you do. It just sort of happens. And there's such a it's also, I don't know why there's such a playful energy coming with the moon, because I'm also seeing the moon, and the moon is ruled by Cancer, and Cancer is a really emotional sign, but it also represents like family and those, and I already said that, like, family man. So there might be something about your power in family, and since it's coming as the moon, okay, is that a message I'm supposed to say? No. Okay, so can you clarify the message, please, Spirit? Okay, so the path ahead to this empire and legacy that you're creating might be still in the dark, right? You probably barely even know what your next step is, and that's okay, because there is value in the unknown, there is value in the darkness, there is value in the uncertainty, and the more you're able to surrender will become your superpower if it isn't already. The more you're able to surrender, the more you're able to listen to the voice of the universe, and that will really pave the way forward, because what I'm seeing is you can either bark at the darkness and bark at the moon and be like, what the hell, universe, this is bullshit, right? Why do I have to keep going through it? And like that victim mentality, which can be also a little bit Cancerian, but shifting that and being like kind of like the Scorpion over here, and just being like, okay, fine, moon, like this is the only thing that's highlighted, like this is the only part of the path that I can see. I'm gonna walk it. I'm gonna trust you. And like it sort of leads past the mountain, past the challenge and struggle into like the new, right? So just trust in that, because that is your superpower. So coming down to it, what is your superpower? I'm just gonna summarize before we get into the blockages. You're an alchemist. You're a visionary, a seeker, someone who's really curious, so like your mind is really open. You have really sharp intellect, but also a very open one, which is why you can do all of these things. Your other power is your integrity, what you're here to create in the world, because you can see the new way, and you're grounding that into reality by the way you show up in your work, in your service, in your offerings, in your career, however that looks. You are an extremely kind soul, and that is your superpower, even though in the past it might have been very it might have been taken for granted. You might have faced a lot of backlash for your kindness and sensitivity, but learning how to ground it and learning how to be with it is really another one of your powers. And you're meant for a lot of success. You're meant for a lot of fame for some of you, and also like creating this really abundant life, whatever abundance looks like to you. And another power that you're getting into is your ability to surrender and trust. So, wow. Thank you for being on this earth, and thank you for doing the things that you do, because it's really beautiful. You are the King of Pentacles. Yeah, you are the King of Pentacles, and take your leadership and authority. And like I said, please shift your beliefs with the fear of success or abundance. So are there any other blocks, please, Spirit, for my group ones and stepping into their power and doing this work that they're here to do? Because the work that they're here to do seems really significant in the age of Aquarius, the new earth, whatever you want to call it, but their service seems so needed, and that's where their major power also lies, in offering this new perspective, a new way of being. So what blocks are there currently for my group ones? Can we get 1 or 2 cards? You can't make this stuff up, can you? Sorry, some cards fell. So we have surrender. So it was, like I said, it's going to be one of your powers soon, but currently it is not. There is a fear of surrender, and that's because your mind gets in the way. Like I said, you have a really sharp intellect, but because of that, the intellect resides in the mind, right? And you have very heavy earth energy, and earth is connected to the heart and the body. So you're being invited to firstly ground and release the need to control and think logically, because this new thing, like your power is not grounded in logic, it's grounded in divinity. Okay, so the more you try to use logic to understand your power and show up in your power, the less it's going to work, and the more you're feeding an old paradigm. So you are really asked to surrender and release this need to control, because that's a very egoic tendency, and there's nothing wrong with the ego. Okay, the ego is just trying to protect us and make us understand, but it's conditioned by past experiences, and you're here to live at the edge of consciousness. You're here to be in this new space. So really cultivating practices or exploring practices that release you from the mind. And we were talking about nature, right? So if like spending time in nature helps you with that, that's something that you're being invited to do. So yeah, one of the blocks is your mind and your intellect and your ego trying to navigate this path, when it's supposed to be your heart and your body intuitively feeling into this path. Like I was talking with the moon, right? The moon is a water card, right? Because it's ruled by Cancer, and Cancer is a water sign. Sorry, I say one thing and then like 500 other thoughts come simultaneously, and I'm trying to like just ground it a little bit. But yeah, it's a water sign, and water signs are about emotions and like your intuition and being guided by that. And I was talking about how the moon is sort of illuminating the path forward. So really like resting into that to surrender and trust, and maybe like experimenting with speaking to the divine, however that looks to you, whether it's nature, whether it's the moon, whether it's, I don't know, oh yeah, the moon's here as well, whatever it is, right? Like however you connect to the divine, whether it's God, spirit, the universe, source, all of these fun manifestations of the divine, or whether it's your own soul, your own divinity. But surrendering to that, creating a practice to establish contact and communication so that they can help you guide the way forward is really going to be beneficial to you. And can we get one more? Do they have any other blocks that are stopping them from stepping into their power, please, Spirit? Can we get just one card? Just one card, please, Spirit. Are there any other? Indecision. Okay. I use my intuition in all aspects of life. It's interesting because we have growth, and these 2 cards, when the cards fell off earlier when I pulled this card, these were the 2 cards that fell out. So clearly these are the ones that wanted to speak. So yeah, indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of life. Going back to what I was saying, like the mind, the intellect, the ego, that's what creates the indecision. And releasing that control and allowing like this, like the way I'm seeing it, right? Like, how do I explain it? It's, I can see it in my mind, I don't have the words. So your intellect, your intellect and your mind and your ego can only see. Also, for those of you who like academic papers and research and stuff like that, I would invite you to read The Totalitarian Ego. I don't know who it's written by, but maybe I'll put it in the description box of like of this video. But yeah, so basically what I'm seeing is your mind, your ego, your intellect can only see like this much, right? Like, let's say like this is all that I can see and this is all that it's creating, like creating for you when you listen to it. But if you surrender, then it creates this whole cluster of crystals, and it's so much more beautiful and multi-dimensional and multifaceted. And like the ego is really, and the intellect is very linear in thought, so it's sort of like a horse with blinders going to the single point, as opposed to like opening, you being that single point and opening up to all of what the universe has to offer you. So you're really being guided to create more, right? Like create space and trust it. And like, you know, there might be fears, of course there are limiting beliefs, of course there are fears. We are perpetually programmed in this world that we live in this modern world. So just because we are programmed doesn't mean we have to agree to it. We can reprogram ourselves, and we can lean into the fear to create new, to create more, to create that expansion, because that's also really important. And now all aspects of life is standing out. So, you know, even though your power lies a lot in what your service offering and career is, that's not the only area, right? Like your intuition is a muscle, but you can't just work on one muscle, right? Like there are other muscles attached to it or that are involved in it. Don't ask me, I don't know anything about anatomy, but still. But you get what I'm trying to say, right? Like there are so many different things involved. So don't just like practice it and like, hey, in my career I'm going to try to trust more, but like lean into doing it in other aspects of life. Like family came up, so is there a way that you can lean, or is there something that you're indecisive about your family, unsure? Is there a way that you can ask your intuition to guide you in that, right? Or are there any other areas of your life that you feel this, that you could surrender to create more? And with surrender, like there's this misunderstanding of surrender of like it's a passive thing. It's a very active choice to surrender, because it's actually harder to surrender than to fall back into our default programmings of intellect, etc. So with that, what was I saying? Surrender, different areas of your life. Oh yeah, active thing. Yeah, it's an active thing. So, you know, when you surrender, then you're going to get like a drop of divinity, and you're going to be like, this is what you have to do. Then there's actually follow through that is required. So when you've been given an intuitive nudge or a divine, like some divine guidance or a download, then you have to follow through if you want to see change. Otherwise, if you're satisfied with that small little thing, which is totally okay to be satisfied with just that one crystal, sometimes that's all we can do, then that's fine. But if you want the whole cluster, then you have to lean into the discomfort. Because I remember there was this one time when I was in New York and I was standing in my building's roof, and I was having this conversation with the universe, and I was just like, you know what, universe, I'm sick of learning through restriction. Teach me through expansion. And I thought like, oh, it'll be such a soft journey of expansion. Like, you know, it's not going to be hard. I would argue learning through expansion is actually harder than learning through restriction, because with restriction, it's like, yeah, fine, I'm not satisfied with like these 3 cups. Let me like rewire and change. But when you're learning through expansion, you actually have to make a conscious choice to like step into the ickiness of the discomfort, the cringe of the expansion. But it's icky. Like it's annoying, but it's so worth it, and I love it. It really challenges you to grow, and if like you have this hunger to grow and expand, I highly recommend it. Although like you have to like develop the taste of yeah, develop the taste of the discomfort. Like it's a different type of discomfort. It's just got a different texture to it, I guess. So any other guidance on overcoming blocks and stepping into their power, please, Spirit? Can we get maybe one card? Any other guidance on overcoming the blocks and stepping into their power? Sacred gratitude, yes. Okay. Trees again, nature again, connect with nature. And like I see her hands with the red over there, which is the color of the root chakra, and we have it over here as well. And so really healing the root chakra, doing some root chakra activations or balancing might be really helpful. And yeah, giving gratitude for your journey so far, because you've been through a lot. And I think somewhere in the beginning I was talking about, look at how far you've come. Oh yeah, with these two cards, look at how far you are, how far you've come. Take stock of like your journey and be proud, like give yourself a pat on the back. So having gratitude for your journey is going to be really important. And for those of you that have a connection to some divine, or you feel like some deities have been calling to you or have been coming up for you, you know, creating ritual and prayer with them is going to be really important. And you know, just offering gratitude to them for like, hey, thanks for even showing up for me, you know, like I appreciate it. Like and you know, there's also this idea that like your relationship with the divine, or like gods, goddesses, whoever you connect with, has to be like this really formal, uptight, like, oh my god, thank you god, like, yes, oh my god, yes, thank you god. But like it doesn't have to be so uptight and dogmatic. Like open yourself up to connect with the divine in a way that feels authentic to you. You don't need to listen to what everyone else is saying. Cultivate a way that feels, because the second it's more authentic, right, like the second your connection is more authentic and feels like it's coming from you, from your heart, and for some people it could just be like chatting with a friend and be like, guess what happened today, universe? Like, can you freaking believe it? Like, it can also be something like that, but it's like, is it coming from the heart? Is it true? Like, are you practicing gratitude because you know it's a practice that you should practice, or is it something that you're genuinely feeling? So it's really important that intention and embodied gratitude and embodied reverence is displayed. So it's not really important what that looks like, but it's like, what is the energy that's fueling it? I hope that made sense. And then we had twin flames as back of deck energy. Don't get me started on that topic because I can't stand the twin flame narrative. But there's soul partner, eternal connection, and I believe in that. I just don't like the label of twin flames. But with that, I think that for some of you, your power is going to be heightened and sort of exacerbated when you get into union. If you're already in union, then you know, like leaning on your partner, because there might be this tendency to close yourself off and like try to show up in a certain way. But leaning into your partner and leaning onto your partner for support, for guidance, for just that sense of home and safety, you're really being invited and encouraged to do that. And for those of you that are not in a partnership, the more you step into your power, the more you're going to call this partner in, your soul partner, your eternal connection, whatever you want to call it, right? So yeah, the more you step into it, the more you're calling them in. And then when they enter and when you get into union, once you're in sacred union with them, then it's going to just like push you even further into your power, and like the abundance is going to like multiply tenfold. So that's all I have for you, my group number ones. I hope that resonated with you, and if it did, I would really appreciate it if you left a like or a comment. And I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye, group one. Hi, Group 2, and welcome to your reading. This is yours if you selected the agate heart. And it's interesting, right? Like, is this particular crystal, it's supposed to talk about like the single pointed thing that you're moving towards that is guided by the heart. And even though it's broken, like you can't make, I don't think you can make up, but you can see like the agate type crystal inside. You know, when you break an agate open and you see like those mini crystals inside. Yeah, so I'm interested to see how that feeds into your reading. So to begin, we're going to look at these cards, which are going to describe your soul, yeah, your soul essence, I guess. But it's really here to do to provide an energy check to see if this resonates for you, and if it doesn't, then I'd invite you to check another group, or maybe there isn't a reading for you in this picker card. So yeah, with that, we have change and we have openness. Ooh, if you are drawn to group number one, um, I would invite you to watch that reading. But yeah, like this has a very similar energy, but I think it's different because for y'all, it feels a little bit more spiritual, esoteric, energetic. So y'all are here. I'm gonna pause because my dog is at the door. So I got a little sidetracked because of my dogs and whatnot. And I feel like that's something with this change and openness. I felt like that was a part of the message where, you know, you're really open to life and to the detours that life sort of sends your way. And there is this capacity to make magic out of yeah, out of almost nothing, you know. And there's this very miraculous energy, I want to say, with y'all, where it's almost surreal what you've done with life, how life has taken form and shape. And also, yeah, just like how you like like it somewhat feels like life has become, it might not have always been this way, but life has become a little bit more malleable, and you're seeing like reality is becoming more malleable, and you're seeing how things are connected, and you're like in this really creative energy. And there's something, yeah, extremely divine about this pile, and something very mystical as well. So either you have psychic abilities, or you're interested in the occult in some capacity or the other. You might be interested in tarot, in astrology, in mediumship. But yeah, there's something very different about you. You're a very unique soul, and um, your inner child is really strong. And there's something about like nighttime and like your dreams that's really standing out as well. So maybe you're also working with the cycles of nature that for some of you, you know, like green witch type energy. Um and yeah, there's something about this change card, and specifically this imagery that's standing out, that makes me want to read it from the guidebook. So I'm actually going to do that. um This is really exciting energy. Throughout time, people have looked to the heavens for signs, and in the ever changing movement of the clouds, they have seen shapes and in the ever changing movement of the clouds, they have seen shapes and forms that seem to be direct messages from the Creator. Clouds are shapeshifters. Their essence is the same, but they can change from mist to rain to ice to snow to water. The transient nature of clouds lends to understanding that life is transitory and ever changing. This sacred landscape wants you to know it's okay to change your mind. It's all right to change directions. You do not need to be consistent. This is the time to put the needs and expectations of others aside and listen to the beat of your own drum. You don't need to follow tradition, create your own traditions. You are free to express yourself and let your spirit fly. Be daring, go beyond predictable behavior. Just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't mean that it needs to continue to be done that way. You can't control the exact circumstances of your life, but you can control what meaning you give to them. select meanings that empower you, for this is the time to be carefree, wild, and unpredictable. So yeah, um, I was getting the sense that, like, your life might not have always felt like reality is malleable, but you have entered this realm of creativity, of creation, where you are breaking free, you are breaking from the molds that society has put and placed onto you. And you're in this very open, like it feels very open, it feels very expansive. It might be newer territory for most of you, but for some of you, you might have been in this energy for a little while longer. But uh, it just feels like a lot of potential. Like there is so much potential, and you can feel the energy in your hands. And it's like, what am I going to do with this energy? What do I want to create? What do I want to see differently? And some of you might be real change makers. So whether that's professionally, whether it's like changing generational patterns or um, patterns, traditions, karmas, like breaking those generational quote unquote curses, and doing something differently for the future generation. So whether it's professional, whether it's familial, whether it's in connecting with others, but something about the way you live life. So it's not something that you necessarily um, it's not like an, I don't know how to explain it, but whatever it is that you're working on or working towards in in your spiritual life, physical life, mental, emotional, whatever, is having, it has a sort of ripple effect, and it's affecting generations before and after you. And you are opening a new doorway of, yeah, a new doorway to be a certain way, and to shift. There's also something about shifting from like a more materialistic, rigid, separation type energy towards one of integration, love, harmony, spirituality, etc. Um, so yeah, I don't know. There's something I can't put my finger on with these two cards. And I wonder if that is something about your soul essence. Maybe you have the sense of intrigue or mystery even with yourself. Like there's always more to know, there's always more to explore, and you're perpetually changing, and which is a very similar message to group number one, but changing and opening yourself up to newer versions of yourself, to newer versions of reality. And when you meet others, they might be really captured by this aspect of you. You might notice that people are very intrigued by you. You might have a very mysterious quality to you, or the way that you show up and the way that you talk about whatever it is, whether it's your life, your journey. People are really inspired by the way you have navigated it. And sometimes they might put you on a pedestal, or they might think that you're like this otherworldly creature. But but yeah, there is this mysterious quality to you. So you might have significant eighth house placements or Scorpio placements, or maybe you just really like the sign because you feel a sense of resonance even if you don't have it in your chart. So yeah, with that, I'm going to move on to your tarot to see um, just what your power is, finally getting to what the reading is about. And for you, we got the Phantom Wise Tarot, which is sort of going off the last point that I said about like having this quality of mystery and intrigue and enigma, because this particular deck is very dreamy and mysterious in that sense. And it deals a lot with like the realm that I access when I use this deck is kind of like the liminal space. And with change and openness here, maybe that's a place that you've really mastered, the liminal, and knowing how to use the liminal as a fertile ground to create something new and to shift the energy. So, and that might only resonate with a few of you, but with this deck as well, like the realms that I access, like I said, is the liminal. It's this dream space. So it's very also like Piscean energy that's coming through. And I don't know why. so much astrology is coming through with this group, but maybe that's something that you're interested in or you've been exploring, just as an extra confirmation. So, with that, please, Spirit, can we know what group number two's power is? What is group two's power? Can we get 4 cards, please? What is group two's power? And there's something about freedom, right? Like freedom from freedom from uh, patterns, freedom from a certain way of being and living. Uh, but yeah, just expansion. Yeah, so like I've said it a couple of times, but if you were drawn to group one, I would invite you to watch that reading. But if not, then of course don't bother. Can we get 2 more, please, Spirit? Oh, this one's already closed. And just there we go. Thank you. And we have strength as backup deck energy. Okay. So with the Four of Swords, wait, let me take a sip of water. Ooh, what a strong message. You are sleeping on your power. I think you're waking up to it with this change in openness there, but yeah, actually you are, yeah. So you are waking up to your power. Before, I think there was uh, a fear for whatever reason, uh, and I feel like it might have been like past life generational fear, especially regarding safety and honestly like scared for your life, like that's passed down through generations. But but yeah, like there is this sense of interesting. Okay, so there's a sense of waking up, and there's also the sense of trust. So, your self trust, which might have again taken time for you to build, but the trust in yourself is actually a superpower. And the reason why there was a fear of your power is because trust hadn't been fully cultivated. You trusted yourself in certain realms, but the kind of trust that you have cultivated, especially over the last couple of years or the recent past, is really significant. And that is one of the biggest powers that you have, because you can tap into your divinity and you can tap uh, into the channel, or like the aspect of self that feels really connected um, to the divine, right? And for different people it could look differently. It doesn't have to look in one way. For some people it might be more through the root, right? Like connecting to the earth, to our ancestors, to that ancestral, grounded, ancient wisdom. For some, it might be the heart and connecting to that field that sort of encompasses everything. And for some it might be through the crown, connecting to the divine, connecting to source, connecting through to the universe, and those higher entities. So it could be one of the three, it could be all three, it could be a combination, whatever that looks like to you. But you are really cultivating this connection with the divine. And the reason it's becoming stronger and stronger and stronger is because you are trusting yourself to treat that with integrity and treat that with responsibility, because there is a sense of responsibility that's coming here with the Four of Swords, right? Like before you were sleeping on it, and now you're waking up to your power and you're understanding the weight of your power as well. And there is this sense of like, okay, fine, you know what, I'm getting up and I'm going to do the work. So before you might have been a lot more passive in your journey, but now there's like this activation that's happening within you, and that's really like, it feels like a fire building in my body, and I feel like that's what's really happening for you. And um, before there was a fear of you being burnt by that fire, but now you realize that you can't be burnt by the fire if you are the fire, right? And the fire is such a beautiful symbol in alchemy of transformation. So for whatever you want to transform, you use fire for that, right? To turn lead into gold, you need fire. So there's the sense of alchemy as well, which is your power. And then we have the Queen of Interesting. Very interesting, because group number one got the King of Pentacles and you have the Queen of Pentacles. And I see so much mirroring with group one and group two. And I don't know what's going to come here, but with the end of group two, it ended with like twin flames, and I don't like that term, but soul connections and whatnot. So I wonder if there is a weird connection like that for group one and group two. And maybe like group one being the more masculine. Oh, yeah, that's just what it is. It might not be you guys are counterparts because there aren't many people watching on this channel, but it could be more like that's the masculine side and this is the feminine side. So maybe the reason I've asked, like I've recommended, because I don't generally do it so many times, but the reason I invited you to watch group number one is I think group number one is like the more masculine side of the journey, and this is the more feminine side of the journey. So people that have been working on the spiritual path and that have really been working with dualities and working with yeah, just like with these energies and like healing both the divine and masculine, the divine feminine and masculine within them. Maybe that's why I invited you to watch both, because that was more masculine in nature and this feels like the feminine counterpart of that. And both, all of us have both masculine and feminine energies within us, right? So with that, here's where the feminine aspect is coming from, which is interesting because when I was talking about the Four of Swords and I was talking about this activation and this fire, it was reminding me of Shakti energy. And um, in Hindu mythology, there's a story about Shiva and Shakti, right? And Shiva is like consciousness and Shakti is energy. And consciousness and energy can't exist without the other. Both are needed for both to be alive. And Shakti is actually what awakens Shiva. So Shiva or consciousness is dormant, and Shakti is like when Shakti wakes up, she sort of well, not wakes up, but when Shakti sort of wakes him up, that's when consciousness becomes conscious, because before that, consciousness is in a dormant state and it's. So Shiva is actually Shava, which is corpse. So this feels like you are initiating change, you are activating change with the Queen of Pentacles, right? Like you are birthing a new world, you are birthing a new way of being, whereas in the previous group it was more ushering it in. So maybe if you resonate with both, here's like, here you're birthing it and then you go into the masculine of ushering it, right? Like how do you uh yeah, anyway, I don't know what I'm saying, honestly. But I hope that makes sense. I hope it's resonating with you, because this is really profound, especially if you're connected to both. Like that's really meta. This hasn't happened in a reading before, where like I'm seeing two different elements or two different sides in two different piles within the same person. So it's really cool if that is resonating for you. But if not, that's still really cool, because birthing a new reality, a new world is not for the faint of heart. um, but yeah, I'm also seeing that, like, with this whole Shakti energy, for some of you, you might be relating to having a like feminine awakening or a yeah, like a divine feminine sort of initiation, because what I'm seeing is as your feminine aspect is awakening and you're embodying it more, and it's healing as well, right? Because there is a shadow aspect of the feminine as well. But the more you're in integrating into the healthy feminine and this divine feminine energy, you are initiating change, you are being the Shakti of the world around you. And just by you being, your aura is like sprinkling into everything you touch, leaving seeds of transformation, yeah, in every interaction, in every breath. And it's like really powerful energy. So another power of yours is your divine feminine essence, and the divine feminine within you will look different than the divine feminine in someone else. So you're also being urged to not compare what your femininity looks like to another person, and this is regardless of gender. You could be a very masculine man watching this, but with a feminine awakening happening, right? Because it's also nuanced. So don't get caught up in the language of it, but yeah, like your divine femininity that exists within you, regardless of your gender and regardless of how you identify, is your power, because it's stunning energy. It's super powerful. And like I was saying, right, your femininity will look different as compared to anybody else. So don't compare what your feminine looks like to another person, because there are so many archetypes within the feminine as well that that exist. And so see what resonates with you. Don't compare yourself to someone else, because that's another thing about the feminine, right? Like, she is unique, she is expansive, she is herself, and she is authentic. So figure out what that authenticity looks like for you and really start embodying that more, because that is such a power, and you're being asked to tap into that and hone that feminine essence within you. Um and there's also something. Yeah, and I was talking about like working with the cycles of nature when I was looking at the moon, and that's such a feminine element as well. So you're also being urged to not do, and I think that I read it in the card for change as well. It said, don't be consistent. And that's because, like, in the way that this old paradigm is, right, it's very masculine in the sense that it's based, and consistency looks like this very linear thing, right? Like, day in day out, you got to do it, you got to do it, like, like, get the wheels turning, da 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 da. But that follows the masculine cycle, because the masculine cycle is daily, but the feminine cycle goes with nature, right? It's a 28-day cycle, so we have these ebbs and flows in these um longer durations of time. So really honoring your body, listening to your body, and listening to the cycles within your body to yeah to hone into your natural rhythm. And that's what's going to make you show up in a way that's more supportive to you, because I feel like otherwise it's so easy to like be burnt out, or to just not feel fulfilled, and to actually feel like your purpose, your divinity, your spirituality, your career, all of that just feels weighted. Whereas if you manage to sort of weave this in and start honoring the cycles of your body and the natural rhythms, that's actually going to facilitate you. So attuning to that sort of cycle will really be beneficial to the power of your feminine. And then we have the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so another power is your ability to collaborate with other people and bring other people together. So I think what you're meant to do is like somehow, like, right, like whatever you're building here, whatever you're birthing here, uh to birth someone, you need another person to fertilize the egg, if we're talking about reproduction in that sense. But like, when we're talking about birthing ideas, birthing new ways of being, you need these different ideas and uh, different connections to really help build that. And it also says, right, like, it takes a village. So what does your village look like, and really being mindful of who you're bringing into your life and who you're creating with. But that is your power, it is in your discernment as well, because firstly, intuition, feminine, of course, but like this ability to discern who is actually going to be beneficial and not. So like, continue to trust your intuition with this, or if you haven't been, please start trusting it, because it's never wrong. So your another power of yours is also your ability to bring people together to either create or to heal. So for some of you, it might be like you have these connections, or you're building these connections to help build this new world. um, uh, I correct myself, this new earth. But for others of you, it's bringing people together to like to facilitate mass healing, right? And for some of you, it could be both. And there's something also about like the Trinity, which might be interesting that you want to explore, because we're talking about like dualistic thinking before, right? Like in the old paradigm, moving towards like, so this might not resonate with all of you, and like, I don't want to get into it, but feel free to research like the archetype of duality and Trinity, and what moving from duality to Trinity looks like. But like, from this separation of dualistic thought um, to allowing dualities to merge and marry, the shadow and light to merge and marry, to create this new way of being, right? And I think that's another thing that you have such a beautiful capacity to do, and in such a loving way. Like, there's so much love in this reading as well, and not like romantic love, but just the energy of love, which I think is very foundational to reality, because I think consciousness is consciousness energy, like when we look at it at like the most fundamental level, right, at like the like behind matter is energy, and I feel like that energy is love, and I feel like that love is um sort of permeating through this entire reading. And that's something that is um, very much a part of you. And I think love in that sense is your superpower, because you can see beyond the material. For some of you, you can see beyond the veil. I think I might have mentioned that earlier. But because of your ability to see beyond the material, you also have this access to love in a way that is not always graspable by uh, the average Joe, right? So, so yeah, and finally the Five of Swords. Okay, funny when we talk about the Five of Swords. Sorry, we talk about love. The Five of Swords comes because this is ego. This is conflict. This is yeah. This is just like also sometimes victim mentality, but like this really like I was gonna say such an Indian term. Like kid energy, I was gonna say. But like very like yeah, just icky energy where like people are playing ego games, and like, you know, like there's jealousy and there's all of these unnecessary um drama that's happening. But how is this related to the superpower, please, Spirit? Okay, related to the strength card is back of deck energy. You can hold this energy in compassion and love, but you're being asked to not let that sort of, like, sometimes you overgive to people like this, especially if there is like this loving energy towards them when they behave this way towards you. uh, so your power with this is actually your ability to transcend it and to integrate it, not just transcend it, right? But like to take the lesson from energies like this and learn from it and move beyond it. But where you get caught up is that you tend to be really loving and forgiving and like giving people 300,000 million chances, um, and at the cost of your own well-being, of at the cost of your own peace of mind, right? Because of your attachment to them. So even though there's like change and openness and all of that, um, there is this attachment to, and I remember talking a little bit about old patterns, breaking generational patterns, and all of that. And so this might be another generational pattern of, you know, like people pleasing or whatever because of the fear of abandonment, whatever it is, right? Um, it'll be different for each of you, but like this tendency to overgive, and for some of you it might not be just with friends, it could be with clients, it could be with in like a professional space where it's not really like the healthiest environment, but like, you know, you keep making excuses and you keep showing up even though you know that there are certain boundaries to be put in place. So um, once you're able to do that more freely and lovingly, firstly, boundary setting is one of the highest acts of self love, both with yourself and with the other, right? So once you're able to do that more freely, you'll be able to step into your power more. So one of the fears with your power is the need to set not fears with your power, but like um, yeah, but basically there's a relationship between your power and your ability to set boundaries, and you're really being asked to do that. And it's not like, it doesn't make you a bad person to set boundaries, right? Like we were talking about Three of Pentacles, of like collaboration and community and uh you know, like all these connections. But in order to keep space and like make room with openness here for these connections, you have to set boundaries for people that are bringing you down or that are keeping you in a loop that you are ready to change. So, and that's going to take strength, that's going to take courage, and you have to like befriend your demons in order to do that, right? And you might be like, yeah, I'm befriending my demons by allowing people to walk all over me or to treat me in xyz way. But the demon isn't about the external, it's about the internal of like, what is the demon or the beast within me um that is unwilling to set a boundary, right? How do I tame that beast? How do I make him like, how do I make, I don't know why I'm saying him, that's unfair, but how do I make that demon my companion? right? Like my teacher, how can I love that part of myself and understand what it's trying to show me and listen to it so that I can show up in my power, so that these people don't. And for some of you, it might just be like energy leeches, because I was talking about your kindness and I was talking about your love. I was talking about like what loving energy you have. So people are obviously going to want to feed off that, like energy vampires, energy leeches, like whatever term resonates with you. Maybe neither of those terms, none of those terms resonate. But like, if you get the point of what I'm getting at, you need to set boundaries essentially to continue to step into your power. And especially because so much of this reading is about the feminine, right? Like the feminine needs safety in order to truly thrive. And the more you keep leaking out, because the shadow aspect of the feminine is like this very caregiver energy. So where it's skewed, right? And there's nothing wrong with giving care and being a caregiver, but in a shadow aspect, it's sort of that over giving, people pleasing, mothering when it's really not your place to mother someone, right? Like that's the shadow aspect. That's one of the shadow aspects of the feminine. So really healing that so that you can integrate into the higher expression of it is what you're being asked to do. I hope that made sense, because I don't think I don't know if I made sense, but I hope it resonated. So with that, are there any other blocks, please, Spirit, for my group twos in stepping into their power? Can we get two cards? Are there any other blocks for my group twos in stepping into their power? Can we get, whoop? Okay, we have envy in reverse. And can we get one more? Thank you. Okay. Oh my God. And we have growth as back of deck energy, which was back of deck energy in group one as well. This is wild. If y'all watched group one and group two, um, could you please either leave me a comment or like email me or something, because this is like on how it resonated, because this is so fascinating. Um, so block one, envy. I am the same as everybody, but with different challenges. That's come in reverse. My friend, yes, you are the same as everybody in the sense of like, we are all one and we all come from the same place, we all return to the same place. But you are not the same as everybody. You are here for a very unique mission. And I think in you trying to dim yourself to be the same as everyone is actually what's taking you away from your power. And it's because you are afraid that people are going to be envious of you. You think that people are going to want to take from you. You feel like, if you embody your unique power, then there will be more leeches that want to feed off you. But you are really unique, and you need to not be afraid of shining your light, sharing your voice, being who you are, right? Because there's also this fear of judgment from others with the Five of Swords that's coming. So it might not just be these people that are leeching off you, but they might feed you like old narratives, or they might like judge you for like doing something different, or for um yeah, for just showing up in a different way. And I think that's something that's really blocking you from stepping into your power. It's like the fear of judgment and the fear of like uh being reprimanded to some capacity. So this is something you're really being asked to heal in order to step fully into your power, because yeah, you're going to stand out, and there's nothing wrong with standing out. So there also might be a fear of being seen. um so really figuring out how you can do that in a way that feels safe for you, because and that's generally with baby steps. So how can you like tiptoe your way into that, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself and like create like a nervous system breakdown by doing too much too soon. But how do you slowly step an inch into being seen and embracing your unique path, embracing your unique expression, because your expression is really needed. The way you express your journey, your lessons, your wisdom, whatever it is you're here to express, is so healing and so needed for so many people. Like people don't even know that they need you until they they see you. I think I think Steve Jobs had said this in some interview back in the day. Uh, when they were talking about Apple products, they're like, yeah, we're launching things that people didn't even know that they wanted or needed. And I feel like that's a similar energy that's coming through in this reading. And then we have success. I know there is no greater goal than to love. Yes. Okay. Two things. Just like group number one, there is a fear of success because I spoke about Steve Jobs. Like, there are people like that that you might not resonate with and you might not like, because you see people in power and you see people in like having great success and exploiting that or changing who they are. And I'll say what I said in group one, right? Like, when money just reveals who you already are, it just amplifies your essence. So if you're a good person, if you're here to do good, money is just going to amplify that. So healing your wounds around scarcity and money, and leaning more into an abundance mindset and trying to employ that in like small things on a daily basis is really going to do you good, um, because abundance is love, abundance is success, abundance is all of these things, right? It's going to look different for each of you, but really leaning into that, where you start shifting your scarcity mindset. Because I think what's different over here is that this is related more to like a mindset issue of like scarcity. So maybe you've dealt with poverty in the past, maybe you've dealt with that sort of narrative, and maybe it's a generational thing. I don't know why so much generational stuff is coming for you in this group, but um, maybe that's something that you resonate with, or you've been thinking of healing, maybe doing like internal family systems or family constellations, or like, stuff like that might be resonating with you at this point in time. So if that's been coming up for you, this is just an invitation to listen to that call. uh, but yeah, just another, yeah, so like there is this fear of success, fear of being seen, fear of love, maybe because you're afraid of losing it. So whatever it is, so just really exploring that, because it's definitely one block that is being asked to heal at this point in time. Uh, so yeah, just exploring different ways of doing that. Maybe therapy for some of you. Um, Anything else with this card? Yeah, and just choosing differently, and it's really in the smallest things, right? Like, um how can you notice more beauty in your life? How can you shift, like, if you get caught in your head and you're like, this is just always how it has been, da da da, what if you introduce a question like, what if it could be different? What choice would I make differently, right? And so like just doing the smallest things, because there's something big about baby steps over here. Baby steps are, I always say this, are the most sustainable way for growth. And it is like, yeah, I truly find it the most sustainable way to maintain growth, without it like backfiring. Um, so yeah, uh, I think that's all with the blocks. So now we're gonna just get one card, and we'll look at the back of deck energy as well. For how do you overcome these blocks, please, Spirit, from my group number twos? How do they overcome this block? Just one card. Ooh, oh, there's too many. Um, I do see healing the heart, power of self love, and we had this heart thing here. So, uh, yeah, uh, yeah, just practicing a little bit more self love, self compassion. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. You've done so well. You've already done so much work on yourself, on like the life that you want to create, and just take a second to appreciate that. And yeah, like just be a little kinder to yourself in this journey. Why are there so many cards? Okay, I'll take two. I'm not taking these. And then we have the same card as back of deck energy, healing the heart, power of self love. Look at that. So I'll keep this here. I'll keep this here. Innovation, new creations. Yes, you are here to like break out of the mold, create something new, and just really, yeah, just express from the heart. Like, look at this magical being. This is who you are. Like, you are here to create, you are here to innovate, you are here to break the mold and try something new. So whatever this fear of judgment is, or this fear of of like being reprimanded, of uh, fear of persecution, whatever it is, um, please heal it, because this is what you're here to do. And I think the way you do it is by actually doing it, by actually putting yourself out there, putting your creations out there, and be just like, go in with the mindset like, yeah, people might not like it, I don't care, this is what I'm being called to do, right? And it's like putting your soul in front and let the ego follow, as opposed to putting your ego in front and like the soul is just dying when you do that. So um just really, just, pardon my language, but like really just saying fuck it and doing it, like putting yourself out there, putting your work out there, putting your creations out there, and not, like, don't get attached to the outcome, don't get attached to how is it going to be received, will people like it, will it be successful. That's secondary. Okay, the magic is in the creation. So start creating and start sharing, because this is such magical, powerful energy. Like, look at the magic of your creations. Like, I just can't. It's so stunning. And then grateful optimism, joyous view of the future. Yeah, don't worry about the outcome, because, like, grateful optimism, joyous view of the future. I feel like that's so self-explanatory, but yeah, like, shift the perspective, right? Like, when the ego comes in and it's just like, oh, but like, that's stupid. I'm sorry, like, that's so childish, but like, yeah, that's stupid, that's this, that's that, oh, you can't do it, oh, no one's ever done this before, who do you think you are to be able to do it? Like, just be like, who gives a shit? Like, no one's done it. If it just, I don't know, like, it's just like shifting the view. Like, start reframing. I think that's what it's all about. Like, start reframing the narratives that come into your head. So like, when the ego comes in with these narratives, it's not silly, it's not stupid. So you want to actually sit with that and treat it with compassion and be like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. It's because XYZ has happened to me, to my friends, to my family, to like ancestors, whatever it is, right? But we are here for change. We are here to do something new. We have rewired so much of our programming. Who's to say the physical cannot be rewired as well? Right? So, really reframing those thoughts, but in a compassionate way, not in a way where you're reprimanding your ego for having the thoughts, because that's you embodying what other people have done to you, but really treating your ego with kindness and compassion the way you treat other people, right? So start treating your demons, your shadows in that way, because that's really going to help you shift the perspective and change the energy, because everything starts with energy and then the physical follows. So like the material follows. So start reframing your thoughts, start reframing the narrative within, and start talking to yourself in a kind of way when you fall off the path, or when you're not showing up in like your most high vibe state, right? All of that is okay. Like, lower vibrations, I don't know why these terms are coming up, but lower vibrations are in service of the higher light, if we choose to approach it that way, right? So choose to see your deviations, choose to see your lower vibrational states as part of the process to integrate into a higher way of being, right? Because it's not just transcending and ascending, because I feel like there can be an element of bypassing with that, but you are here to integrate, right? Because we were talking about like marrying dualities to create the third way, the middle way, the new way. uh, in order to do that, you have to see both sides. So it's not uh, demonizing the darkness, which is interesting because I called them demons earlier. It's not about demonizing the darkness, but seeing the darkness and seeing the value of it to integrate it into the higher realm. So yeah, that's really beautiful energy. And with Joy's view of the future, if you needed the extra confirmation and the affirmation or the whatever, right, confirmation that things are working out for you, it absolutely is. You are really here to be this incredible healer. I'm really getting that. You are healing people just in being who you are in your authenticity. And just everything that's a byproduct of that is going to touch the souls and the hearts of people. And that is the most effective way to create change, because it expands the capacity of the mind and the 3D. And that's what you're here for. And I'm so grateful for your service. And I'm so grateful that you're here, and I could read for you. So thank you, my group number twos. That's all I have for you. I hope it resonated. And if it did, please leave a like or a comment. And if you want to see more of my videos, you can subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching. And I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye, Paltu. Hi, Group 3, and welcome to your reading. This is your reading if you selected the Swarovski Lotus. And I have to say that I'm really excited for this group because um, okay, I won't get into it too soon. I'm already like flustered by the energy because it's really powerful. Before I started and I was just like tapping into the collective, I could feel like this buzzing from this crystal. So clearly very powerful. And the other thing is that when we get into the tarot, maybe I'll speak more on it then. But um, I picked this tarot deck for this group, and it's the I didn't pick it; it came to me. But it's called the Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic Tarot, and this is one of the most I don't know, like profound decks I have. It speaks on an archetypal level. It's um, extremely symbolic, so it's truly so powerful. So I'm really intrigued to see what comes through in today's reading. Alrighty, so now we'll get into these cards. So we're going to look at, what your soul essence is. And this is really just an energy check to see if this resonates with you. And if it does, then this reading is likely for you. But if this part of the reading doesn't resonate, then I'd invite you to either pick another group, or maybe there isn't a reading for you in today's pick a card. So with that, we have going forward and simplicity. Ooh, ooh, oh my God, yes. Okay, so I'm really excited. What a path you have walked, my lovely group threes. You are, I would not be surprised if you are fairly seasoned in the spiritual journey and have done a lot of work, have done a lot of healing, have done a lot of, rewiring, all of that. But not just rewiring, you've also moved from like the very restrictive element of the spiritual journey to the expansive element of the spiritual journey, which takes a lot of courage. And you have walked your spiritual path with such courage, such integrity, and such authenticity that it's actually making me emotional, because I think your spirit guides are really proud of you for how you've navigated this world. And there's still so much kindness um, and just love and humility in how you walk, and how you walk this path. And you're not someone who just preaches. You walk the walk, and you're willing to learn. You're willing to see where there's more to grow. Like there isn't this air of superiority just because you've been on the path. And maybe that you've experienced earlier on in the journey, which is natural, right? Like spiritual ego is something that we all go through when we start off, or once we walk the spiritual path for a while. But you have not transcended, you have integrated that as well. And there is so much beauty here, and you've reached such an I don't like using these words like advanced and all of that, but I can't think of a better word right now. But um, you've reached this point in your journey, which I would argue is kind of advanced, where you it's this your spiritual life isn't really so much like, you might have rituals, you might have practices, you might have connection to divinity, to all of these things, but your spiritual life is very present. It's very simple. It's in the day-to-day things. It's in the smallest things that you find spiritual lessons, values, gifts, right? And it's very grounded. Um it's not something that you are striving for. It's something that you've integrated into the here and now. And even your divinity is present. It's here. It's palpable, it's tangible, it's not something further away, it's not something that you're striving towards, but it's something you are embodying and you are feeling in the space between, in the space within, and it's really magical because it takes people years and years and years and decades to get to this point. I can't remember the term. There's this specific term in Hindu um, Hindu philosophy and also in the specific form of Tantra, but not just in Tantra, actually, in Vedic practices. I'm actually going to find it. I have it written down. I'm going to pause this reading, get it, and come back. Okay, so it's called Shambhavopaya, and these are basically the processes of. Actually, I'm going to read it. I don't know why I closed. I don't know why I closed the page, but I'm actually going to read it out to you. So basically, there are different ways to attain consciousness, right? Like through action, through ritual, through like for instance, I don't know why this is becoming a class almost, right? Like, but that's all irrelevant. I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to get to Shambhavopaya, which is like kind of like the ultimate, where you're in this state of awareness that is effortless almost, right? And I have the write-up that I wanted to read is, yeah, Shambhavopaya doesn't require any effort. It's effortless. The glowing consciousness at all moments in time. Everything exists within me. So any darkness or impurity is created within and can therefore be burned within. With these practices. So what are you offering to the fire of consciousness, right? Like our impurities. So you have this awareness, and your spirituality doesn't take effort. It's not bound by these things that are contracted, but it's effortless. It's light, kind of like this feather. And that's how you're moving forward. And I think that you might have gone through a lot recently, because I feel like if you look at this path, like moving, right, like you might have been in the darkness, in the forest, which is so nourishing and so healing, but sometimes the light can't get through. And that was really you shedding these layers of bondages, whatever that might look like, right? Like karmas, lessons, previous patterns that that you haven't that wasn't necessary for you to shed at that point in time, but it was now. And now the path is clearing, and you're walking out with this lightness, with this fresh perspective. And I'm just getting lightness. There's so much lightness surrounding you, but this lightness is backed with years and decades of wisdom, and not just decades but lifetimes of wisdom, because I feel like y'all aren't just my old souls, y'all are my ancient souls. Like I feel like there is a pack of ancestors of various lineages, not just this lifetime's ancestors, but we've lived past lives in various parts of this earth and various galaxies, various star systems, and you have ancestors of all of those places backing you up. And it's time for you to lean on them and call on them uh, for support, for guidance, for direction. But there's also this lightness. So like there's this, I don't know how to explain it. It's such a beautiful duality, but like I don't know. Like it's. I wish I had the words to describe what I'm feeling. It's like weight is not the right. You have like a density or abundance of wisdom. Density has like this negative connotation, but I don't feel that it's like a dense forest that's so lush, right? So you have that lusciousness and abundance of wisdom, but it doesn't feel weighted. So even with all these ancestors and stuff, you might have done a lot of work unconsciously, because you might not have consciously done like generational trauma work or ancestral healing or anything like that, but just in the way you've been so committed to your path and so committed to your own well-being and you know lessons and growing spiritually and all of that, you have inadvertently cleared all of that as well, which is really magical and really powerful. And you really need to like give yourself a pat on the back if you haven't already. But with all of that clearing, with all of that work, you have attained this lightness. So you can always step back into the forest if you need it, if you need to pick some herbs and pick some flowers for your healing or just for the joy, because there is a part of you that loves the forest, right? Like, and I'm talking about forest metaphorically and spiritually, like as a symbol, but definitely uh, could be actually literally the forest. But yeah, like I'm really thoroughly enjoying this energy. But yeah, like there is this part of you that really enjoys the forest, that values the darkness. Sometimes when you're in it, you don't always love it, but there is such a deep appreciation for it. And yeah, so you can go back into the forest whenever you feel like it, but it's kind of like your choice. But you have reached this new state of spiritual awareness and spiritual embodiment that is also unlike. So there might be times where you're doubting yourself, right? Because I said like the path is clearing and opening, so you might sometimes feel like, am I actually on the path? Because like your spirituality doesn't feel like an effort, it doesn't feel like anything you're trying to do. There are no practices that you're, I mean, there are practices, but it just feels like natural. So unlike the people that you surround yourself with, social media, uh, gurus, practitioners, whoever like you communicate with, sometimes you might doubt yourself and you're just like, am I like not spiritual anymore? But no, you are actually the epitome of it, like, because it's not for show, it's not to prove anything, it's not to uh yeah, it's not anything effortful, like I said, right? Like with Shambhavopaya, it's just, it just is. And that makes you, it feels, what are the words? It feels like it's not spiritual, but no, can you give me the word spirit? Because I'm not able to articulate the energy you're giving me in language. It's okay, give me a second. So you are part of a very, very, very small collective of people that have sort of moved past, right? Like there are different stages of the spiritual journey. Like, so for instance, you'll see people, maybe you were a part of it, right? Like hippie culture, spirituality, right? Which is all like love and oneness and like also all other stuff. And then like you graduate from there and then you get to another point and you can look at like hippie culture spirituality and be like, oh, okay, like this is where it's not fully spiritual, but it's spiritual in these ways. And then you went to the next stage, whatever that was for you. But now you've graduated from there as well, and you're on like this third stage, uh, which very few people get to, especially um, in your age group or in your circle or in the spiritual communities that you're a part of. So you might feel like an outcast again. And I say again because before you started on your spiritual journey, or when you got into your spiritual journey, you felt like an outcast, but that was from the people in like the physical world, right? Like trapped in the matrix, for lack of a better word, but trapped in that way of being. And now you're feeling the same thing, but in a spiritual sense, where you've sort of like gone, because you learn really quickly, you integrate, you do the work, and you get to this point, and now you feel kind of like an outcast amongst the spiritual community, which is really exciting, because where you're going to find belonging now is going to be like immaculate energy. Like I am so pumped for you. But yeah, there's one more thing with the feather. There might be one spirit guide or ancestor that wants to come through at this point in time to speak to you. And I don't know if I want to. Is there anything you want to tell me? I'm seeing my soul dog with that, but I don't know if that's relevant to any of you. So, um, can we pull a card? Okay, from which deck, please, Spirit? I don't pull a deck for this. Okay, fine. So this was the deck I was going to use for the end in terms of um, how to overcome the block, and we'll still use this deck for that. But what is this feather telling us, please, Spirit? Who's trying to come through and communicate? Thank you. For some of you, it might be like a feminine ancestor. It could also be an Egyptian goddess, like if you've been connecting with Isis or any other goddess at all. Something about eclipses, maybe. Something about an ancestor who used to wear a lot of jewelry, specifically gold. I'm seeing mountains. I'm seeing this. I actually saw this as a hummingbird, but I don't think it is. I think it's more like a hawk or an eagle. I have no idea what bird that is. But that could be significant. Mars could be significant. So maybe they had maybe you and this ancestor had similar Mars placements, or they connected to, or they had very Mars energy, like kind of aggressive, fiery energy. They could be an Aries, they could be Scorpio. There's also another bird here. So uh, something about birds being significant. We have the feather here. Um, Anything else, please, Spirit? Maybe they died when you were really young and you didn't connect with them, or you didn't connect them so much with them so much in the physical when they were alive, but after they passed on, um, they became more communicative with you, or or maybe you lived at a distance from them but you always felt very connected. Maybe they've been coming into your dreams. The number 7 could be significant. And then healing earth, the power to give and receive healing. Maybe they had maybe this could also be like someone from like a shamanic tradition. Maybe they were interested in the healing arts. They could have been a doctor, a nurse, something like that. The number 10 could be significant. 4, 6, 7, 17, 1771. Anything else? Maybe they lived close to nature, or they always spoke about like their travels and what they really liked. Like they really liked sharing their stories, I'm hearing. Archangel Raphael, Archangel Uriel. Anything else? Something about the color white, blue, green. Okay. I don't know. Those were just extra confirmations. If that resonated, great. If not, and while I was saying anything, even if like someone popped into your mind which had nothing to do with anything that I said, uh, take it as confirmation. So with that, I'm going to get into your tarot to see what your power is. So for my lovely group 3's, please, Spirit, what is their power? What is my group 3's power? I'm going to do one more shuffle. What is my group 3's power? Can we get 4 cards, please, Spirit? What is my group 3's power? Okay. Can we get 3 more? What is my group 3's power? Huh. Yes. Oh, that's way too many. Can we get 2 more? What is my group 3's power? What does that power look like for my group 3's? And can we get 1 more, please, Spirit? This one? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to take it. Okay, and we have 7 of Pentacles. The star. Oh, Oh my God. Okay. Uh, I love this. Okay, so I have to mention first. Wait, I'm gonna take a sip of water. Okay, I have to mention first, like with the previous three groups, all cards came in reverse. I mean, not reverse, sorry. They were all like closed down. And I opened them and went one by one. And here it's starting closed and all the others are open, right? Like they've come face first, so to speak. And I think this is about you shifting from, I think you've worked a lot on your fear of being seen and like, you're ready to step into your power more fully. And I think that's why this reading has come at such a timely point in your life, because before, like, yeah, you wanted to, you were healing your fear of being seen, and you were aware that you were powerful and like you were ready to step into it, but there was still hesitancy, right? Like there's a little bit of back and forth, or you still couldn't recognize, even though you recognized you were powerful, you didn't recognize how powerful you are. And now you're really starting to see it and you want to embody it more, and you're not entirely sure how to do it. So I feel like now you're really stepping into it. You're still you're still kind of close to it, but it's like the tail end. It's like the last card, and now everything is opening up. I don't know if that made sense. Um, but with that, let's start with the first card. We have, yes, 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 yes. We have the Apprentice of Wands, and it came in reverse. Exactly. Because you're moving from an apprentice to the champion. This is really exciting. So you are you are progressing into, basically it's a journey from being an apprentice to being the star. That's what your power is. You're still clinging on to like this apprentice, because see, you're very humble, and I think that's why you don't see your power always, because you're a very humble being and you're very open and you're very curious, right? You're always about going forward. And the simplicity card here, there's something very genuine about you, and genuine about the way you move through this world and the way you show up for your spiritual journey. And that is definitely one of your powers. But just like, your genuineness doesn't have to take away from your power, right? It's feeding into your power. But that, like, I feel humility has two sides, right? There's one where humility is just you being open to the world and learning, and not letting your success or your wisdom or anything to get to your head. But there's also this sense of humility being your way of holding yourself back. And I think that's a message that came through in uh, all of the piles, I think. So I'm really glad that I'm reading for such lovely souls, heart-led souls. Um, but yeah, with this, I also see that um, you're really connected to the earth and the stars, like you're connected to the mycelial network of the cosmos, if that makes sense. And that's one of your powers. And tapping into it more, right? Like in the sense of, maybe you have strengthened your connection either with the earth or either with the cosmos, uh, or maybe, yeah, like one or the other. And now you're being urged to strengthen your connection with the opposite, if that makes sense. So if you were connecting more with the earth in the previous phase of your journey, now you're being invited to connect with the cosmos and the divine wisdom of the universe. Or if you were connecting with that first, now you're being asked to connect to the ancient wisdom of the earth. Um, and really integrating that, because that's really going to be a significant part of your power, because your power is in integration and in connecting these things. Because see, you've mastered it within, but now it's kind of like, how does that show up in the world around you? I don't know if that's making sense. Let me just take this, and this is really Mm, interesting energy. Okay, yeah. And then the other thing that's coming through is this kind of, I don't know if it is, but it kind of looks like a slug to me. And, you know, how do I explain what's coming through? Okay. So you might have felt naked with being seen. Okay. And because I'm thinking like of a slug and a snail, right? Like the difference between the two. The snail has their shell to retreat into, but the slug doesn't have that. So the slug has to find safety outward. And I think that's what took you away from your power in the past. But you have started to cultivate safety within you. And that's what's really giving you your power. So you're moving away from slug energy into champion of swords energy. Um, so yeah, like from the slug energy of like trying to find safety either through the validation of others, maybe you have like a attachment style that you were really healing as well, right? Like maybe avoidant or anxious or disorganized, whatever it was, but really practicing and experimenting with getting out of it and doing the work really to do that. And now you've really managed to cultivate safety within, and you have a relatively healthy attachment style. And like when things come up, you are able to lean into what it's trying to teach you, and you're able to rectify it really quickly. And this is not just with your attachment styles, this is with everything, right? Like when you notice triggers, when you notice yourself falling into a way that's not serving you, you're able to recognize that really quickly and shift it to serve you. So there was a sense of alchemy in like the previous two groups, but this is taking it to a whole new level because you are quick with it, because you're very attuned to yourself, you're very attuned to the divine that exists within and without you, like outside of you. And because of that, you do the work and you're not afraid to do the work. So you lean into what life is teaching you, right? Because you're about always going forward, always learning, expanding, shifting these energies. So that's really incredible energy. So you have managed to cultivate such safety within for you to bloom and blossom. And because of that, you are really the champion of swords, and this is the knight of swords. And here with the peacock, it's time for you to like show up, right? Like you were the slug, you had to sort of be, so you might have been in like hermit type energy for a while, especially recently, because there was this other phase of reprogramming. We were talking about you being in the forest, right? So doing all that type of work, and like we were saying, the trees are parting and we have the champion of swords. So now you're like coming out of the forest, you are re-emerging from your uh, period of solitude and healing and rewiring and all of that. And you're not just showing up as who you were, you're not showing up as like a really pretty slug anymore, you're showing up as the freaking peacock. Okay, and this peacock is not just any ordinary peacock, it's got diamonds and it's got rubies, and it's like you are this gem, and you are not afraid to show the diamonds and rubies, where before you might have been afraid of your attractiveness, you might have been afraid of your power, you might have been afraid of your wisdom, of showing up in this way of authority, of uh, beauty, right? And like physical beauty, yeah, but like the beauty of your soul that's really coming through, and just emanating that. And now it's just like, this is me, right? Take it or leave it. Um, and I think before people try to like dim you down because of this, maybe they could subconsciously sense that, and they try to control you, or they try to make you small, or they try to keep you palatable. But you're not afraid of being not palatable anymore. No, is that right? Basically, you're not afraid to be yourself anymore, and it doesn't matter if you're palatable or not. Like there's this ownership of the self, and that's taking you to a whole new level, because of this ownership, you're just like I said, this is me, take it or leave it. If I'm not to your taste, that's fine, I'm not for everyone, but this is who I am, and I'm shining myself loudly, proudly, and unapologetically. And the people that are meant to that are drawn to me, not in a egoic way, but like these people that can really see me and hold me for my multiplicity, my multitudes, my dimensions, all of that, they are welcome. And if not, like, and there's also this, wow, that's so beautiful, there's also this recognition, right? Like before it was just like a all or nothing type attitude, but you have grown so much that it's not so much an all or nothing attitude anymore. And if like someone comes into your life and they are only able to see this one ruby, right, of you, And the thing is, you have such clear vision that you can see that they can only see that one ruby. So you don't expect, like, before you might have been really bogged down by the fact that no one could see all of you, but now you're also understanding that, like I said, you're a part of a very small collective. Like, you also recognize that most people will not see all of you, right? And so you have reached this point where you're like, oh, this is what you can see, okay, but then this is all I'm like, this is what I'm going to give. Maybe not all, maybe you give a little bit more, but it's with this recognition, like, there's no more like throwing pity parties for yourself, or like feeling bad that there's no one who can see all of you. Like, all of that is just like, I see all of me, I love all of me, I'm showing all of me. And because I'm so multidimensional and multifaceted, I have all these different people that are activating all these different facets, and I can dance with them, right? So there's this real uh, nuanced understanding of the world, of yourself, of how you connect with others, and how you're unapologetically showing up, right? And before, like, you know you thought that some people, uh like, I don't know how to explain it, but you're not feeling sorry for yourself anymore. And you're not feeling like, you don't judge other people for not being able to see all of you, or you don't think you're better than other people because they can't see all of you. But there's like this recognition, and like there's this shuffling of energies, and like shifting of dimensions that you get to do through these different connections with different people, through these different groups, right? I don't know if that's making sense to you. Like, so for example, uh I can't think of an example. Okay, like at the workplace, there's one dimension of you that's showing, right? And or like, through your work you show up as like a priestess, or um, like or like a boss, or your whatever, right? Like, whatever work you do, you show up in that capacity. And that's very much an authentic part of you. But then with your close soul friends, you get to show up as a little bit more of all of you, and they get to see you, and they get to feed into that. And then in with your family, there's this other dimension of you. And like, these are all different dimensions, but instead of being upset that your family can't see all of you, you're just like, oh, this is what my family can see, and this is, I love this part of me that shows up with my family. And even though all these other parts exist, there are other spaces for these different parts of me to show up, right? So it's also this exploration of the self in different environments, and exploring how each feather is a part of you, and each environment is an invitation to express that part of you. I hope that made sense. Um, and that's also a power of yours, not just in your ability to discern and explore and dance with the dimensions of the self in different environments, but also your ability to discern when and where to show up. Because before, you would try to show up as one thing in a space, and be like, receive some sort of backlash, or you would feel bad about yourself because you show whatever, right? But there's this discernment, and like, your power is in your multidimensionality and in your ability to show up that way. And then with the Ace of Pentacles, you have the Midas touch. Okay. Everything you touch turns into gold. And there is so much abundance and lush abundance coming through, because with this Ace of Pentacles, it's in your creations that things grow. It's in every person you touch, every person you interesting. When I said that, it felt like a romantic connection came through. I don't know who that is about, what that is about. Maybe we'll get more information on that later. But everything you touch, every person you interact with, you give healing to. And this looks like a neem. And neem, like, uh, neem is a plant. I don't know if it's an English word or if it's an Indian. Uh, like, it's used more across India, but it's a very healing plant. So even when you have like piercings and stuff, if it gets swollen, you just put like a neem stick in there, and like, it works like magic. um I know, because I have done that 500,000 times. But the kind of abundance that you have, right, it's like growing, it's like nature, where it's kind of sort of self-replenishing as well. And maybe you still haven't fully stepped into your abundance, but that's what you're moving into. like yeah, like you experience the density of the forest, and now you're going to experience the lushness of the forest, but not in like spiritual lushness, but physical lushness, if that makes sense. And yeah, like you are, you have a lot of ideas, or like you have a lot of creations, or the things that you create are going to be very impactful, and it's going to like with that mycelial network, right, it doesn't feel like it's going to have a ripple effect in a very superficial sense. When I say superficial, um I don't mean it in like a less than sense. When I say superficial, I mean surface level, right? Like in a very like visible sense. But instead, it's going to be at like the foundational level. So like the ripple effect that you have is from the roots. It's from like the energetic framework that underlies creation. And that's the kind of work that you do, because you touch souls and you touch hearts, but not the souls and hearts necessarily of people, but of archetypes. Whoa. Holy shit. That is wild. Like you are straight working with the anima mundi. You are working with the archetypal realm. Oh my God. And not in a way where like you're accessing it to communicate with it, but like you're doing work in that realm. I am getting excited and emotional and everything all at once, because who, like, what? I'm sorry, I just need to pause, because that is, we're talking power. This is, wow. Wow. Sorry, I just need to take that in. Yeah, and it's card number 10 as well, right? Like 1 and 0 creation, but like at that zero level, you're creating new beginnings at the zero. And zero is a card of pure potential, but it's also a card of like, yeah, like I feel like infinity. And you're creating change in infinity. I don't even know what that means. Wow. Okay. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Um, oh my God, sorry, random. When we were talking about like that ancestor or like that spirit guide that was coming and helping, and I was like, oh, 7, 7, 1, 7, 7. We have 177 again over here. 7 again over here. Very interesting. The number 7 might be a number you want to work with. It's a very spiritual number. And yeah, it's a lot of wisdom with the number 7. So I don't know why that came through. We're talking about infinity, we're talking about 7, we're talking about numbers. So yeah. Um, and then with the star, what is their power? Oh, oh, okay. You are people's wish come true. You are people's dream come true. Whether it's in friendship, I first felt it as a romantic connection. So that came through the Ace of Pentacles as well. So if you're in connection, like if you feel like you're in a healthy connection with someone, this is confirmation that this is how they see you. As their dream come true, their wish come true. And if you're not in connection or union with someone, the person that's coming in will really feel that way about you, and you will feel that way about them. And this is really, really beautiful energy. It's orchestrated by the divine. And yeah, there's just going to be such beauty to it. Like the stars will align. It will feel like the stars have aligned, and it will feel like, you know, you both were on these different paths, but you've come and you've created this ocean together. That's so beautiful. Something about Aquarius season could be significant, or the sign of Aquarius for this might be significant. And it's interesting because I'm going to be posting it on the 25th, when the stars align, literally, of Jan and 2025. And
29th is the new moon in Aquarius. We're already in Aquarius season. So something about this season might be significant, might not be in the physical, because we have the Seven of Pentacles and that's a period of waiting. But we're talking about Anima Mundi, we're talking about the archetypal realm. So maybe in the energies, you really start feeling the alignment happening. But anyway, all of that aside, your power is also in your ability to love. If you are people's dream and wish come true, and you also have this foresight, this vision for what we're moving towards, right? Like truly, you are sort of like the brand ambassador of the age of Aquarius, and you are at the forefront of this change. And you might not always feel that way, but it's just in your natural embodiment and the way you show up in your work, in your connections, in life in general, that is ushering this in. And there's also something about um, you also being the North Star for a lot of people. So a lot of people might come to you for advice, for guidance, for insight, for direction. And you, interesting. Yes, you give it to them, but not in the way where you spoon feed it or where you provide solutions, but in a way where you empower them to follow their own North Star. So you might, and this might have been something that annoyed you in the past, where people really came to you with a lot of their problems, and like, you were always guiding them and advising them. But now it's coming from, because of the work that you have done, you recognize the power of people's own inner wisdom and guidance. And you also have the awareness that what you think is right, or what your journey would have told you to do, might not be the journey that someone else has, because you have this deep understanding, maybe not in these terms, but like karma and dharma, but whatever terms that you use, right? Like spiritual lessons that we've come here to learn, um, or things like that. So you have this awareness that each person has a unique path, and each person has this yeah, has unique lessons, even if it's someone who's like someone who's quote unquote a bad person, right? Like you recognize the value of their journey as well, and how that feeds the collective conscious, and how that feeds the evolution of consciousness in general. So you have this awareness, and there isn't this duality and like polarity of good and bad, but there is this recognition that each path is necessary for the evolution and fulfillment of consciousness, for the wholeness of consciousness to exist. And this could be very starseedy energy, so you might be a starseed, you might resonate with that term, but because of that, you really help people rest back into their own divine wisdom, and rest back um, into their guidance, so that they can go their path, right? The path that is meant for their highest evolution. And you are able to, like, your ego is very integrated, like you recognize the importance of ego as well, but you have integrated it so well into your system, into your being, that you know when to put it aside, and you know when to call it forward, right? Like, and so there is this beautiful balance between your head and your heart, your ego and soul, like whatever you want to call it. So yeah, like this card is just talking a lot. So yeah, there is something very significant about the way you show up in that sense for other people, and it's creating this empowered collective of those around you, and that's having a ripple effect, because other people want to do that for others. And yeah, it's happening at a very subtle, like at the subtle level, at the energetic level. And like I said, that's the energy that you work with, and you are truly so incredibly, whoa, look at that, the lights go off. You are so incredibly powerful. And with the light going off, just as I was about to say that, because I was going to move to the Seven of Pentacles, you don't always see that. You don't see the light that you have. You don't see the light that you give to other people. And that's okay, right? Like that's what you're stepping into. Why isn't this light coming on? There we go. Um, yeah, so like I had to press that light button like 7 times for it to come on. Seven. Look at that. I wasn't even thinking. Um, but yeah, so maybe you've had like a lot of back and forth with seeing your light. And the thing is, because you're so multidimensional, the reason you can't see your light, the power, the effect you have on others, because with each person it's so unique. But the common thread is that they'll say you're so kind, you're so welcoming, your presence is so healing, uh, you see me. I think that's something that a lot of people feel is like, because you experience reality at such a depth, you see people in such a depth, and just in that act, it's so healing. Something about, never mind. Yeah, I was going to say like eyes, like the color of someone's eyes, but I don't know why. But yeah, you see people so deeply, and just in that, there is such such healing that happens, and that's where your power lies, and your power is so strong, so incredible, and it's so soft at the same time, right? And like there are no words to describe your power, honestly. And I know that sucks because that's why you're here for a reading to understand it. uh, but I hope you've got some idea. And the thing with the Seven of Pentacles that I was coming to is that you've done so, like you might not have seen a lot of the results in the physical as much as you would have liked to, with the amount of work that you've done, but there's also this soft acceptance of like, I trust, right? Because we were talking about Shambhavapaya, we hear, and like trusting your, sorry, excuse me, yourself, the universe, and all of that. So like before, you might have been really anxious about the fact that like the physical hasn't manifested in the way that you want, but this is also such an abundant card, like the Ace of Pentacles. And um yeah, trust that it's coming. And I'm getting the image of like the bamboo, where so much work happens underground, right? And it takes years and years and years, and then like it just shoots up really quickly. uh that is the energy that I feel with the Seven of Pentacles. So expect your life to literally, kind of like overnight almost, just expand, expand in this very grounded abundance that is self replenishing, and that is giving and healing. Because I was talking about like the neem tree here, I'm seeing all these flowers, and I'm thinking of uh you know herbology, isn't that from Harry Potter? I meant like, like a green witch using like flowers and herbs and all of that for healing, for like making little tinctures and essences and whatnot, but like that are geared towards healing, because nature provides so much medicine. um, I'm seeing that your abundance is, yes, supportive of like the life you want to live, helps you travel, helps you learn, helps you expand, all of that, but your abundance is also healing other people. And that is so, so freaking beautiful. I love this group. Oh my God. I mean, I love them all, but this one has a special place in my heart, if I can say so. So, with that, we're going to get into what your blocks are. So, for my group number threes, please, Spirit, what are some of their blocks in stepping into their power? Can we get two cards? What are some of their blocks in stepping? Ooh. Okay. Honesty. And can we get one more? Lonely. Fears, back of deck energy. Okay. Interesting. See, like your cards are all open. Like you are opening yourself up to the world. You are opening yourself up to the universe. You are opening up your heart, especially with that loneliness card here. And we were talking about like your connections not being able to see you fully. And there is a sense of loneliness because you are craving connections that can see you at your depth. And there is this fear of your powers. Like the more I step into it, there's this fear that you're pushing more people away from you, and like you want connection, you crave connection, but trust that the more you embody it, the more aligned people will come. Because if you make connections from this space where you're not in your power, you will be stuck in that space, because that's all you're willing to embody, right? And you'll always feel like a bird that's trapped in a cage. So just embody yourself more fully, and you will call people. And the thing is, it'll happen in the most like divinely synchronistic and orchestrated ways, like we were talking about that even with your partnership that's coming in, if it hasn't already. But um, with that, this loneliness, what I'm seeing is like people from all over the world, like different parts of the world that you didn't even think you would meet people from, will just come in, and it will create this. I'm also seeing a flower over there, like it'll create this blossoming of the self, of the soul, and it's really, really stunning energy, and it's going to be so healing. But this, one of the blocks is this fear of loneliness, and in stepping into your power, you feel like you're going to isolate yourself even more. And there's also that saying, right? Like, the more powerful or the more successful you are, the less friends you have. That's not a problem for you, because you've anyway been very selective of the people that you let truly enter. Like, you might have a lot of friends and all of that, but in a social sense, but the people that you actually let see your soul and like experience your heart are very few. So that's anyway how you've always been. You've always been successful in that sense. You know what I'm saying. So just trust that you'll meet people, and you'll meet other people that are also uh, that have that wisdom, and like they might not have experienced life the same way as you, but they have the capacity to understand you and see you the way you see others, and that's really, really beautiful. And with honesty, I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. um, What is this card talking about, please, Spirit? How is this blocking them? Because I feel like they've. Okay, so you are very honest with yourself and about. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Uh, okay. Uh, sorry. Spirit's giving me too many messages. And yeah, okay. Let me just ground for a second. Okay, sorry about that. There were some direct messages coming through, so I've tried to like get that on the side. Uh, so for this group, please, honesty and how it's blocking them. There might be some attachment to older paths or like older behaviors, older patterns that you feel like you still need to cling on to. And it could also be spiritual practices or spiritual connections to the divine, to others, or whatever that you're really attached to, and you're being asked to be honest about whether that's really serving your path, or whether it's just a story that you have bought into and have become reality, right? Because at one point in your life, maybe these practices, these people, these spaces were resonant and were necessary for your advancement. But it's really about taking stock and like looking at the life that you have right now and really deciding what is meant for you and what is not meant for you, and not letting attachment let something stay in your life for longer than it needs to. Yeah. Is there anything else? Yes, with the loneliness. Okay. What does this card want to say? Connect with nature. Okay. I actually don't think there's anything, but there's a message that's trying to come through that has not come through. From which deck, please, Spirit? Oh, yeah. I thought, oh, that makes sense. I was going to end the reading. I was like, it doesn't feel finished. And I was like, because you have to pull another card from this deck. So this is like, how do you overcome the block? How does group 3 overcome this block, please, Spirit? Can we get just one card? How do they overcome this block? Oh, thank you. Oh, I said at the beginning of this reading that this isn't just my old souls, these are my ancient souls, and we have miracles and ancient wisdom as backup deck energy. So yeah, really, really tapping into that, and also using your heart as your guidance, and trusting not just that miracles are meant for you and things can change in the most uh, serendipitous way, but also that you are a walking miracle. And that is something that you need to recognize, and that is something that you need to realize and embody, and that that can coexist with humility. Okay, that can coexist with humility, and that might sound impossible, or that might sound unrealistic, or that might sound like they have to be like mutually exclusive, but the two can exist simultaneously. Yeah. Abundance. I should just end it here, man. Fortune, wealth, and plenty. You are deserving of abundance. Excuse you. What part of you feels like you're not just because it hasn't happened yet? With the Seven of Pentacles, I told you, you're the bamboo. It's going to like shoot up before you even know it. Um, and start embodying abundance, right? Like with this Champion of Swords that was coming through, your multidimensionality is your abundance, your yeah, your different facets. Like she's got 4 arms over here. Like that is who you are. Embody it unapologetically. Dress like you are abundant. Dress like you are made of diamonds and rubies and whatnot. Like just like zhuzh yourself up a little bit, because in how you show up there is a sense of like playing small, not being wanting, like not wanting to be seen, like I was talking about your fear of your beauty and attractiveness and stuff like that. But whether physical or soul, you're being asked to shine it all. Shine it all. That is abundant. And you are meant for fortune, wealth, and plenty in every aspect of your life. Okay. And uh, also, something about like these two elephants over here. Um, Elephants are family creatures. They take care of others. They live in community, and they have such like great memory as well. And they're such emotional beings, and there's almost like humans and dogs in like one, like the best part of humans and like dogs in one creature. I don't know why that came through, but I feel like that's what this is, and this is who you are. And I don't know, like this card is just so beautiful. I'm just gonna like hold it up, and like if anything like comes up for you, just take the energy of this card in. And there it goes again with the light. Why are you afraid of your abundance? So okay, so this was about like how to overcome it. I would really invite you to journal on why you are afraid of your abundance, and what about abundance makes you yeah, makes you afraid. And I actually feel called to read this from the deck. I feel like your reading has gone way over. um it's card number 28, which also reduces to 10. The goddess Lakshmi holds out her hands in divine offering, and the universe responds with such abundant blessings that gold coins come cascading down. The gold in her gown and on her neck, ears, and wrists shine with the life giving light of the sun, which radiates upwards from the top of her head. She is the light of the world, bringing boundless generosity. And that's what I was saying, right? Like about your abundance also healing other people. I feel like it's in your generosity. This portends a time of great joy and receptivity for you. The prosperity, okay, so that's another thing to overcome your block, is healing your wound with receiving, because clearly you can give. You know how to give, you know how to see others, you know how to hold others, you know how to provide for others, whether emotionally, financially, spiritually, whatever it is. But you need to lower your blocks, lower the blocks around yourself that you cultivated out of protection, to start receiving love, start receiving healing, start receiving the ability to be seen, right? And it might feel really scary because, like with the slug, there was this sense of nakedness, right? So that might be this residual energy that's still there, but healing that so that you can start receiving, because yeah, fine, you might be an ancient soul, but there might be parts of you that can receive from others. And just because you're an ancient soul doesn't mean like a new soul can't provide that healing for you, right? And can't provide that space for you. It can. And there might be there's so much that you can learn from a new soul, and there's so much a new soul can learn from an ancient soul. So don't let these like narratives of like, oh, I'm such an old soul, oh, I'm such an ancient soul, feed into that, because that's your spiritual ego talking. The prosperity you've been longing for is coming your way. Seven of Pentacles, already got that. Um, an investment may pay off, or an unexpected windfall may appear. But even if the increase in wealth comes slowly at first, the abundance is sure to expand as you allow yourself to focus on the present value already in your life. Always remember that value comes in many forms. There is good fortune in nature, friendship, and the simple moments of small joys. Literally, all of that came through. That is so wild. This grateful awareness will shine in your life like the sweet violet aura around Lakshmi's luminous being. At her feet, baby elephants herald the arrival of true prosperity, bringing with them an energy of strength and peaceful certainty. This card is telling you to rest assured, for great joy and prosperity will soon be expanding throughout your life. The affirmation is: I open my mind and my life to the blessings of the universe. Unlimited wealth is coming to me in wonderful and unexpected ways. How beautiful. So that's all I have for you, my group number threes. It was such a pleasure reading for you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. My heart is like singing. So I hope it resonated for you. If it did, please leave me a like and a comment. And if you want, you can subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos. And yeah, I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching. And I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye, group three.